Wednesday, January 9th, and this is a regular Public Works Committee meeting. I'm joined here by Council Member Paul Krikorian, and pleased to be in the Ed Roybal Board of Public Works room. We're down here because there's a number of issues affecting the 10th floor that a lot of folks are going to be upstairs. So in light and respect of the overflow, we're here this afternoon. As normal, if anyone would like to address the committee on an item or for general public comment, please be sure to fill out one of these speaker cards. Seeing no public comment. Is this for an item, Michael? No, this is item number.
I believe it's item number 2.
Item number 2, okay. So seeing no general public comment, Mr. Krikorian, if you're okay with this, I'd like to approve item 4 on consent. Naming the T intersection of Adams there, the D. Wayland S. Jones Square. Take that on item 4 on consent, and consider items 5, 6, 7, and 8 together when we get to those items. Items 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all naming of streets. So with that, we'll take item 4. We'll approve item 4 on consent, and if we can get to the first item, Michael, please.
Item number 1 is a report from the City Attorney and ordinance relative to repealing ordinance number 182085, which authorized the widening of the intersection at Burbank and Sepulveda Boulevards.
Good afternoon, members.
Good afternoon.
John Miner, Deputy City Attorney, Real Property Division, and Romnick Mungra from the Bureau of Engineering. This is basically just a housekeeping matter. An ordinance was previously adopted almost a year ago to authorize the acquisition of some property near the northbound on-ramp to the 405 freeway at Burbank Boulevard in Council District 4. After the ordinance was adopted, we filed a case in May, and then last summer the Department of Transportation, in conjunction with CD4, came to a conclusion that the project or the traffic impacts could be corrected without the necessity of a condemnation through better signalization, use of an automatic signal function, and striping and restriping the lanes. So we basically don't need to go forward with the condemnation. And in order to clear any clouds of title against the property that was subject to the prior ordinance, we just need the adoption of this ordinance repealing the prior ordinance.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Krikorian?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was in my district before redistricting, and so I was kind of part of the effort to get that widening done in the first place. And I'm wondering what it is that's changed. It said in the report, I think, that there was that the perception was that there had been changes in traffic patterns since the original design was created. But I'd like to know more about why this change in direction.
Let me ask Department of Transportation Representative Michael Hunt to approach and answer that question. He has more of the details.
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Michael Hunt, LADOT. I'm the section head of the Special Projects. This happens to fall into my section. This project initially was part of the call for projects back in 1999. Back then, our automated traffic surveillance and control system was not as advanced as it is now. Computers obviously have been updated, upgraded. The computer programs that we use, the hardware, the software, everything that we use now is much more advanced, if you will. Knowing that, I can get into details as far as controllers, 170s versus 2070s, some of our other communication equipment, but knowing that we actually have the ability to control traffic better now. In the old days, we used to have to do physical improvements, if you will, where we would widen to get the 2 lanes to handle that additional right turn that would be necessary. Nowadays, we can actually extend the pocket longer and control the traffic through timing through the whole network system, because you can actually time the signal next to the one here and keep traffic flowing. You can have overlap and a whole bunch of other things to handle that.
But if I may, I mean,
Sure, absolutely.
You're drawing a comparison to 1999, but
Yes.
we were working on getting that condemnation and doing the widening a year and a half ago. So what changed in the last year and a half that made us feel that that was not the appropriate course to go and that there would be a better way to go?
Well, this was designed actually approved back in 2003, the actual design. So that design, nowadays, we would not actually use that design. A dual right, when we re-reviewed this, when they started coming and asking for justification, the dual right is our last ditch effort, if you will, because you have two vehicles turning right with pedestrian movement. That outside vehicle that's turning right doesn't see the pedestrian, so it gobbles up more time. So the timing itself would actually create more delay at that intersection. So we have a better way of handling it now, and we didn't want to install something that we could actually do better without having to install it that way.
I'm sorry, I don't think I'm making myself clear.
Okay.
This ordinance for the widening
Sure.
was voted on by the council. Actually, it was less than a year ago. I thought it was a year and a half ago. It was last March. So as of March, the council
I
was
got you.
under the impression that the best way to deal with this was with a widening.
I got you.
So why did we get to that point if we're working on designs from 1999 that you're saying are obsolete?
When it was approved, that was the best method at the time, when it was approved. So when that ordinance was voted on, that was the best method, if you will, at the time, because we don't go back and re-review plans that have already been approved, if you will. At the time that plan was approved, that was the best method at the time. So when we were asked to re-look at this thing because of the issues with the property owner, we looked at it again. We decided that we could actually handle this without having to majorly impact that property owner. We can restripe it. We'll still have to do some work at that intersection, but we can handle it now without having to have a major impact to that property owner. So I guess what happened was we actually had an approval, and we don't go back and try to redesign things once they're approved. But when somebody's coming in and asking to actually have us to really take a close look at this thing again, when we did, we found that we could handle it without having to have those dual rates.
Maybe to Mr. Minor, let me just be explicit about this. I know this has been a little contentious with the property owner. In my view, it's not an inconvenience. It's not a significant encroachment on this property owner at all. It's a corner of his parking lot. That parking lot is not that utilized. It's not a valuable piece of property as much as he thinks it might be, given the location that it has. So is the change in direction because of that contentiousness with the property owner, or is it a traffic engineering issue?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. Once we filed our case and we set a hearing date on our motion for early possession of the property, the owner's lawyer opposed that motion. And in that motion, they set forth a variety of reasons why the city should not be entitled to this. When I got that opposition, I contacted a DOT in the Bureau of Engineering and said, look, we got this opposition now. I need to have some solid reasons how we can rebut their opposition as to why we need this. And that's when that re-review took place by LADOT.
Okay.
And it was in the context of the opposition. It was going to be a fight about whether or not we could even get the property. They said, hey, look, we have better computers, we have better surveillance, we have the ability to signalize, to coordinate the signalization. You know what? We really don't need this. We can accomplish the same objective without the condemnation.
Great, that makes sense. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so that's approved?
So thank you, Mr. Krikorian,
I'll
and
be
thank
happy
you,
to move
staff. You're okay with the approval moving forward? Okay, so that item is approved. We'll send that off to City Council.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, next item number 2.
Item number 2 is a Bureau of Street Services report relative to amending the Los Angeles Municipal Code to allow overload movement in the Central Traffic District. This This report has also been referred to Jobs and Business Development Committee.
Thank you, Michael. I have one card representing Councilmember Weezar's office. Jessica McLean? Hi, how are you?
Good afternoon. Thank you. Jessica Wethington McLean on
Thank you.
behalf of Councilmember Jose Weezar. We're in support of the motion, and we feel that the department's recommendations are appropriate. The situation that brought this to our attention was related to some filming. In the 1940s, a law was put on the books that required overload crane movement in downtown only happen between midnight and 6 in the morning, which means if you're doing a shoot downtown, which is sort of America's backlot, and you need a crane at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you need to have it in place before 6 o'clock that morning, and it can't move all day. And then when you're finished, you have to wait until midnight to move it again. So we've had cases where a film crane had to be in place for 3 days in order to be used once, because they had to bring it in a day early, then use it, and then wait a day. So it causes impacts on the filming industry that are unique to downtown. This is a regulation that is inconsistent with the city policy in the rest of the city. And it probably kind of stems from, it's an anachronism from the 1940s when downtown was a sort of its own business district and the rest of the city was much less urban and impacted by, traffic and things that the rest of the city is. So we think it makes sense to have consistent regulations throughout the city and to remove this regulation from just downtown.
Thank you. Miss Emily Williams from CD6. Emily, how are you?
Good afternoon. Emily Williams, Deputy Chief of Staff for Council District 6. Jessica put it so eloquently that there's very little I have to add. I do want to point out that the departments that are affected are all in favor and in support of this. And this is something that was brought to our attention actually by the mobile crane industry. And so what it does is it cuts a lot of the red tape. It makes it a lot easier for the cranes to be able to move in and out of downtown. And what it really does, instead of actually revising this ordinance, is it brings it into alignment with the rest of the city. And so that's basically what I wanted to say about it. The other thing is that it's taken the better part of 7 years, believe it or not, to work on this, and really the bulk of the work has been done in the last few months through collaboration with the mobile crane industry, Film LA, and Council District 14 and Council District 6. So thank you for considering it this afternoon.
Thank you. I know we heard this in this committee back in October, and I know the City Council has made a number of efforts to ensure that filming remains here in LA, and I know on the state level my colleague, Mr. Krikorian, really championed a lot of those efforts. And I know what we're doing here is requesting a change of the municipal code to assist the film industry, and if that's what it's going to take, I think we ought to approve this. Anyone here from the city staff to come? All right, sir.
Good afternoon, Tom Carabello, Street Services.
Thank you.
Nothing much that I can add to what both these ladies just said. It is a 70-year-old law, and we have met with DOT, Bureau of Engineering. Neither of those departments have any issues. Bureau of Street Services doesn't have any issues, and it is an item that's a long time coming, so it definitely helps the industry.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Krikorian, any questions? Okay, good. Good work, all. Thank you. And hearing no objection, we'll approve this and move forward to City Council. Thank you. Okay. If we can take item number 3 next, please.
Okay. Item number 3 is a motion from Council Members Perry and Reyes relative to authorizing the issuance of a revocable permit subject to the applicant satisfying the conditions for issuing of such a permit to close, gate, occupy, demolish, excavate, and start construction over the existing street prior to the recordation of the final map 68092-CN, which will merge the street as part of the final track map.
Mr. Yu.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
From
Happy New
Public
Year.
Works Engineering. Bureau of Engineering has been working with the developer and CD9 on how to move this project forward, and we all agree that a motion from the council district is the best way to move this project forward, and so we support this motion.
Thank you. I see CD9 staff here, and I understand there's no objection to this. Okay. No objection, thank you. Mr. Krikorian, any questions? Okay, so consider this item approved. And then now if we can take items 5, 6, 7, 8, these are name changes. Together, if I can have Michael please read each item.
Item number 5 is a Bureau of Engineering report relative to a private driveway name establishment request for Lancashire Boulevard, northerly of Valley Heart Drive, and Lancashire Boulevard, southerly of Valley Heart Drive. Item number 6 is a Bureau of Engineering report relative to a private driveway name establishment request for Buddy Holly Drive, northwesterly of Barham Boulevard. Item number 7 is a Bureau of Engineering report relative to a private driveway name establishment request for Buddy Holly Drive, northwesterly of Universal Studios Boulevard. And item number 8 is a Bureau of Engineering report and ordinance relative to a name change and establishment request for Buddy Holly Drive between Barham Boulevard and Universal Studios Boulevard to W.C. Fields Drive.
Okay, taking these items together, again, items 5, 6, 7, 8. You're okay with that, Mr. Krikorian? No objection. We'll approve items 5, 6, 7, and 8. Send that off to City Council, and if we can now move forward. Item number 9, please.
Item number 9 is a Bureau of Engineering report relative to a street vacation proceedings to vacate Chateau Street between Whitmer Street and Valencia Street.
Any cards on this item, Michael?
No cards on this item.
Mr. Yu.
Edmund Yu, Public Works Engineering. This is a request from the Good Samaritan Hospital to vacate the streets in between the properties. The Bureau of Engineering, based on comment from different departments, and is recommending approval for this vacation request at this time.
Thank you. No cards on this item, Mr. Krikorian. Any questions? Okay, hearing no objection, we'll approve item number 9. Item number 10, I understand we also refer to this to Plum. If we can move forward on, you can read item number 10, Michael.
Okay, item number 10 is a motion from Council Members Reyes and Garcetti relative to a waiver of street dedication requirements regarding the relocation of a 4-unit craftsman's type apartment structure within Angelino Heights Historic Preservation Overlay Zone at 1104 West Kensington Road.
Anyone here from staff? Any questions or, any questions? Hearing no questions, we'll move forward on item number 10 and approve item number 10. Without objection. Next item, please.
Item number 11 is the Board of Public Works report relative to processing the claim for refund over $5,000 for number 112907 to refund Espn Productions Incorporated for overpayment of special events fees.
Anyone here from Street Service? Oh, yes. How does this happen? How that, if you can just explain to us how this happens where the event takes place and then we've seen an overpayment of special event fees?
What happens as part of the process is we send the application to all the different departments. They can turn around and they give us some estimates prior to the event. We collect
So
those
they're just
fees.
projections then?
It's just projections. Once the event goes off, then we go back to the departments and we reconcile any additional costs that they might have had, whether it was an added cost or it was reduced. Then at the end of the event, we reconcile, and that's where we're at with this particular event. They were charged a certain amount. Cost came back a lot lower at the end of the event, and so they're due a refund as part of the process.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so the committee will recommend approval and move that forward to City Council as well. Seeing that's the last item. That's it. Any others? Okay. Anyone here for public comment, please come forward now. Seeing none, this Public Works Committee meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Officer Johnson. We love you. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.